Once there was a time.
I was recommended a book by a friend of mine the other day, a big chapelman, Keller's book,
I know.
The Bible as History. And he advised me to read it, thinking it would change my mind about things. So I had done a bit of economic geography, and I found to the old readers, the beginning of the world was the Old Testament.
Yes, that's quite right.
But we find by study that it was not so. We find the first history we've got, anything beyond this must be for the anthropologist.
Yes.
But the first history we have got is of the river civilizations,
Yes.
the sewers,
Yes.
particularly the Euphrates.
Yes.
And they were confined within their own areas owing to particular geographical conditions. The sea and the sun protected them from what they termed marauding tribes. And,
Yes.
But the Mesopotamian people, the Euphrates, they weren't quite so confined, and they did spread out before the Egyptians. You see, after a period of years, some thousands of years, these people discovered that everything wasn't desert. They discovered that there was a fertile crescent around the north of the Arabian desert. I'm only saying this because we must start beginning the story from the beginning.
You are leading on, I presume, to Abraham.
Now, wait a minute now. Abram, these people broke out almost simultaneously.
Yes.
The Egyptians went up the line.
Yes.
They were forced to by economic conditions. They had got too many.
Yes.
But Abram was the cutest, you see. Now, I have been taught that Abram was working entirely at the call from God to go and do this, that, and the other. But my opinion is that Abram was pretty well off, according to history, but he knew there was more wealth in the north.
But wait,
And he went up after it. Let me finish my story now.
Yes, yes.
He went up north and came around this fertile crescent, and the Egyptians coming up from the south, they met at what we know as Palestine today.
That's right.
And from there on, it was nothing but war, war, war between one tribe and another, which gives you the Old Testament. That is the history of the Old Testament, of these internecine wars that were taking place in and around there. And afterwards, of course, you grow up into Greek, Persia, and all the rest of it until the present day.
How do you look at Abraham, William? As an adventurer only?
Mainly, yes. Like a man.
No.
Well,
Abraham was a holy man, a man of vision,
Right.
a man of magnanimity.
You've got to remember, too, that a lot of the colliery managers and agents were holy men, too, but they wouldn't give you, they wanted...
No, only in name, William.
Yes, well,
only in name.
they wanted a lot for a shilling everywhere I went,
Yes.
anyway. when I was in school, compulsory free education. I paid to go to school.
I paid to go to school.
But the new act came in while I was in school. It would be about 1890. But the point is this. The employers were looking for clerks and people to count the other people's pay, and nobody was educated. So they brought education in, I say, for that. Not for my benefit, but for their own.
Is education and culture the main goal in life?
Yes, half a minute now. We were talking about leadership this minute.
Yes.
Well, now, there is a new leadership emerging, and has been for a long time.
Yes.
The young people today are asking the why of things, and they are realizing that in the old days they say, keep in with the manager, and you must be a good boy and all this, you see. But it doesn't work.
But I should like to come from the pits out to the crowd.
Oh, well, I'm only concerned with the pits. That's where I had my bread and butter. And you know what it says in the Merchant of Venice?
The quality of mercy is not strained.
No, not
it droppeth as a gentle rain from heaven on the place beneath.
No, not
it is
that.
twice blessed.
No. He owns my life who owns the means by which I live. That's where I come.
There's one quotation that appeals to me always when I'm in my best moments. And they are from a lyric by J.G. Holland, that great lyrist. And he's saying something like this: God give us men, mind you, a time like this demands. Strong minds, great hearts, true faith, and ready hands. Men whom the lust of office cannot kill. Men whom the spoils of office cannot buy. Men who possess opinions and a will. Men who love honor, men who never lie. Why can't we have them today?
Because their horizon was too narrow. The people today have got a wider, the whole world is embraced. Not only the chapel and the Rhondda Valley, but the whole world is embraced in their outlook.
How is it that people are turning back to religion in the end? Puzzles me. Take David Hume, for instance, the rationalist and the infidel. He had been preaching the gospel throughout his life. Not believing in God, not believing in the universe, not believing in anything. Only that man was a human being and a slave to evolution and progress. But in the end, David Hume was dying. And he called on his mother and he said, "Mother, can you help me this morning? I am facing the unknown. Have you got anything to say to me?" And the old lady said, "Well, David, you've been preaching, you've been an infidel throughout your life. What light do you want?" He said, "Today I'm facing reality," she said. "I am facing God and eternity." Is that right? How is it that people are turning back, William, to religion in the end?
Well, I don't know, nor I don't deny religion. You see, I know you were a very religious man, and I respect you. But what I am trying to say is this, that religion has never done anything to alter the social and economic position of the masses. I believe that the masses themselves have got to do it, not through religion or anything else, but through knowledge of their environment, knowing what causes this, why wars, why this bother in the Congo, why in Kenya, why in Laos. There is an answer to all of them.
Well, Brent, I think I'll have this one.
Here you got Ed. Sunset Tree by Martha Tenshaw. Romance again, is it, Ed?
Yes, I like that. I like that one.
Let's have a look. What's in it here? Yeah. Look at this. Tears brightened the flesh on her cheeks, and he gently kissed her mouth. Look, the old boys years ago, they wouldn't look at such rubbish as this.
Well, Brent, them other ones are too high for me.
Well, look at the stuff we've got here. Geology, science, geography, even mining here, and things like that.
Talking about the war, you know, I remember one night going for a walk on the Hindenburg line. That was a very strong line. We never took it, really. And an old pal of mine in Scotland, and a Scotchman, and we went for a walk through a village that had been, it was about a mile long, and everything was demolished. But the air raid came on, and the only place where we could take shelter was the arch of an old pig's cot that hadn't been blown in. We were both sheltering under there when a soldier came down, walking down the same way from towards the line. And the question he put to us, which stung us for a minute, he said, "Where's that cafe with that girl in?" And old Jock was more quick-witted than me. "Oh, you go straight down," he said, "and turn to the left. You'll find her down there." Well, I don't think there was a bird alive around there, leave alone a girl.
A very curious incident happened at Southampton the evening before we embarked on active service. I remember three bosom pals going to a phrenologist, a renowned phrenologist at that. And I remember spending the last 10 shillings of English money that I had in my possession. We went in to see this man, and I was the last going in. He asked several questions, and he spoke to me just the same as if he had been living next door to me when I was a child. Everything that happened in my life, early life, this man mentioned them. So when everything was over, he invited questions. 3 questions from each of us. And it came to my turn to answer my questions. So I asked him, same as you've been saying today, William, how long is this war going to last? I was under the impression 6 months. He said, "Oh, my dear man," he said, "it's 1914. I'll speak to you probably 1919, he said like that. Well, that dropped my sails terribly. He said, "Have you got another thing that you'd like to ask?" I said, "Yes. After being through it all, are we going to return?" And he hesitated a little and said, "The first 2, they will not return. But you will return," he said. "You'll go to a hospital and you'll go through the tribulations of war, but you will come back safely." Well, I was the only one that came back out of 3. Human beings, if you believe in the creation,
Human beings are the work of God. You know, we're talking about France now, during the war. Did you see any village without a red lamp or a white lamp or a green lamp? Not on your life, you didn't.
I saw towns with red lamps, but no villages.
Villages behind the line, Bethune for one.
Oh, yes, I agree, Bethune. Yes, there was one there.
Only a small town. Armentières, another, not more than a village. Of course they were there. If it wasn't for that and the rum, do you think that war would have lasted so long? The morale would have gone to blazes, man. But you take a lad of 18 and a half. The day they were 18 and a half, they were sent out to France. And you landed them in Le Havre for a rest camp for a couple of days. But everybody took care that they went out into the town. And almost every one of them visited the Rue de Gallion in Le Havre because you couldn't go in the wrong house there. The red caps were lined all over the place so that they guided you as if you were going to see Cardiff City football ground. The only thing was, I'm telling the gospel truth. The only thing was that there were red caps at the bottom of the street that you couldn't go through anywhere else. You had to come back the same way. Good God.
But France was immoral before the First World War, you know.
I know, but you see...
And the continent the same.
Yes, they're trying to stamp it out
They're
now.
trying to stamp it out.
But you just think the effect of a youngster then. Because we were pretty well Victorian in 1914, you know. She hadn't been dead only 14 years.
Yes, I agree.
You see, a boy of 18 and a half had never seen anything above a woman's boot because when they went to France and see the women with dresses up to here, by God, they'd stop and look. They'd never seen a woman's legs, man. Even, I tell you, they didn't think about the war, see? No. I tell my children, when I look at the medals, they call them badges. Here's the symbol of my ignorance, because that's what it was for me to be there. And I say that as long as I live. Because if I'd known then what I know now, I wouldn't be in no war without I was carried there. No. You know, Davy, during the war, there's one thing I learned from the war, First World War. I found everything was so well organized. I'm not saying about what caused the war or anything of that kind, but whilst you were there, the organization of food, munitions, men, everything was perfect. And I came to the conclusion myself that if we can organize the society for war, why not for peace? And as a result of that, when the war was over, we were a dozen of us from Lancôme who came down to Treabert and even carried coal in a fish bag to light the fire in the room we had. And we'd got a tutor to teach us industrial history because we thought, well, something wrong somewhere, and we wanted to know the reason why. And we carried on with these classes until the strike of 1926. I left school at 11. And in this adult school, we didn't have no strangers to lecture. It was just the members of the class. We had a Treabert schoolmaster as the leader. And I must say he was a brilliant chap. And he said one Sunday, I'd never written a paper in my life. And he said one Sunday, Mr. Thomas Blancombe will give us a paper on the Renaissance next Sunday. Well, that knocked me for six, because I didn't know the meaning of the word Renaissance. And I took all that week and a bit of help from other people, and I wrote the paper anyway. And as I'm telling you, people want to know why. And I've been looking out the history of the Renaissance, and I've got it pretty well, I think. You just think of the Archbishop of Canterbury going to meet the Pope after 600 years. The establishment, unfortunately, are a step in front of the people. They're a step in front all the time. They're preparing to their defenses because they know what's happening in the world.
Well, where is the remedy for communism, rationalism, atheism, socialism?
In reason. In one word.
Alone?
In reason. Look, one thing I learnt years ago when I went in for ambulance work, and you know, I found it very valuable in other departments of life. We were taught to find the reason. Before you can treat anybody for first aid, you must know what's wrong. He might be under a fall, remove the fall. If he's under a motor car, but if he's taking poison, you must try and find out whether he's taking acid or alkaline, and you counter it. And there is, and I tell you, the people of the world are marching on.
Well, do you think that Kipling, you've been on the wireless, we've heard a lot about him, and I'm a great admirer of Kipling.
Yes.
Is Kipling correct in this statement, in this quotation? East is east and west is west.
He didn't say that. Mark Twain said that.
No, east is east and west is west, and never the twain shall meet.
That's right. Mark Twain said that.
Well, it was quoted.
Yes. But it's wrong, see?
But do you think that they will meet, even if it is Mark Twain?
Meet? They're on the way, boy. They're on the way.
I remember in my early years, time was boredom. But now, after passing the span of 70 years, I can see time going very, very, very fast. Of course, we are the creatures of time. We haven't got any conception of anything apart from time. We were born in time. But the day will come when eternity will swallow up time. Then what's going to happen?
Well, I look at it this way. It's eternity for somebody every day. Somebody is going to eternity every day.
Yes, but what about us, William? Not the man next door. What about us? When I think of life, I'm going back to my boyhood days. Days I'm very sorry to say that I wasted to a certain extent. But now life to me is nothing but a series of farewells in a world full of changes. Read the papers or the periodicals. Farewell here and farewell there. And life to me, after analyzing it, is nothing but a series of farewells. At my age, I'm looking for something better. Time takes its hands away. Time is like a running stream. But I stand firm on one thing. Christ is my salvation. And the great principles on the mount, they stand like the rock of ages itself. And there I stand, and no one will move me from there. What do you say, William?
Well, I wouldn't like to attempt to move you from your point of view on anything, but as regards to time, I will agree with you that time does seem to go much faster now as we get older. When we were young, we were looking forward towards something. We were going to do wonders when we get older, but we just haven't done those things. We have grown old without knowing to ourselves. But the only thing I can see constant in life is change, perpetual change. I think there's a wonderful time before humanity. Wonderful. Time, a kind of time undreamt of, when man will be man. Man is not man as yet. Man is in his general infancy. He's not, we haven't realized that we are men.